What's up, what's up, what's up, everyone? It is Jason Jani here with DJ Demand, Jason Cohen, and today we're going to tackle the stab scratch. Another kind of like elementary scratch, but a very, very important scratch to help you spice up your sets, your performances, and all the things that you do as a DJ moving forward. All right, so in video one, we tackled the baby scratch, and that's that kind of open, kind of crossfader, back and forth motion, and hopefully you've had some time to work on it, because today we're focusing on the stab scratch, where we're gonna not only engage with the actual platter or the player, the controller, the technique, whatever you're using, but we're actually gonna use the crossfader on the mixer. So the stab scratch is a very, 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 very important scratch to learn, because it helps you shake things up a little bit and helps take your kind of scratching and even your shows to a whole nother level.
That's right. The baby scratch is the one that everybody, that's like we said last week, gets exposed to it. Yeah.
Right.
Now we're starting to switch things up a little bit. This is going to kind of separate you from other people. Before we even get started, I need to draw your attention to the crossfader or your controller. Almost every controller or mixer should have a crossfader, but more importantly, what we're talking about now is actually, it might be on the front of it. What we're looking for is your crossfader curve. This is usually a dial from left to right, or it might be a switch, where one side looks like an X, the other side looks like a plateau. When we're talking about mixing tracks, lots of people like to leave it more on the X side. That's going to be a smooth fade. You can keep your volume up, and you're going to smooth fade from one side to the other. When we are scratching and we're talking about using the crossfader, we want those tight cuts. So we want to go the other way to the plateau. I turn it all the way to the right, so that way every single time you move the crossfader the littlest bit, it turns it on or off. All right, so once we have our crossfader set, it's time to get started with our stab scratch. Some people like to do a stab using the volume fader. I like to do it with the crossfader. I tend to do almost everything with the crossfader. So what a stab is basically half of a baby scratch. So baby's back, the crossfader open, back and forward. With a stab, we're talking about moving the record forward and then cutting off the sounds when we bring it back. So all we're doing is moving it forward, cutting it off, bringing it back. And when you do that quicker, it sounds like this. I like to have my thumb all the way off and just bringing it over just to have that forward sound. That's your stab.
Super dope. So just to recap, you're actually pushing the sound forward and you're closing it off before you get to the end. You're pulling it back and you're cutting off that second sound that you would normally be creating with a baby scratch. That is the stab. Now, this scratch is super important because it starts kind of getting your timing down, and there's a lot of ways that you can do the scratch. You could do super tight little clicks, click, 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 click. You could do some very long, drawn out kind of like sounds and cut it off and bring it back. But really, you're only hearing the forward motion of the song that you're actually playing. And I think that's the important thing. Let's bring it back to video number one and show how you could use the actual stab scratch in combination with the baby scratch to give your kind of sound a little bit of a different kind of flair.
Absolutely. This is really why we're learning the stab, is not to do it alone, but to do it combined with the baby scratch to really be able to switch up those patterns a little bit. So you have your baby and you have your stab.
All right, so let's start that over again and do it really, really slow, because I think the key to learning a scratch is practicing everything very, very slow, and then to progressively speed up the tempo and kind of change the sound a little bit with faster pulls and pushes of the actual control source of music.
So right with the stab.
Now let's show how you could use the stab in combination with a baby scratch. I want to say this to everyone who's learning this. Now, I am very, very, very right hand heavy with scratching. As a matter of fact, my left hand is like so beginner, where my right hand is so much more advanced because that's where I'm comfortable, that's where my timing is. And you would think it would be the opposite way because I'm technically right-handed. So right hand should be actually the more comfortable hand on the crossfader, when in turn the way I learned was backwards. And the problem that I've run into as a DJ is my left hand is so much weaker than my right hand. So I'm much more comfortable on my right hand. So word of advice to you picking this up and getting started is to practice these scratches on both your left side and your right side. If you're starting from the beginning and you're learning how to scratch right here with us on this video and with this series of videos, I would highly encourage you, as challenging as it may sound, to learn some of these basic elementary scratches, these beginner scratches on both your left hand and your right hand, because you don't want to end up like me where you're just always waiting on one side. You want to be able to do things on both sides. I think that right there is the magic, and it really sets the people apart in this universe, the people that understand the kind of the technique and the more advanced levels of scratching, especially when you're doing it in front of other people.
I wish somebody told me that. Like, I wish when I first started scratching, somebody told me, learn something and then don't stop until you learn it just as good on the other side. Because if you see me, like, you know, on Twitch or whatever, I do different scratches on different sides because I'm just comfortable with some scratches on this side, some scratches on the other side. And now I'm trying to like relearn, and it's so hard to go back and do
one of the key things about like learning how to scratch, it's really muscle memory. So if it doesn't sound good, don't stop practicing. I think it's super important that you stay on it. And then eventually, like an example would be, there's a scratch called the click. And as I started to learn how to do 1-click flares and then a 2-click flare, it took about 3 weeks of me literally focusing just on this one sound to get the 1-click down. And then one day it just came together and it was awesome, but it was only on my right side. The point of this is learn both sides if you can. If you're learning from the beginning, focus on both sides.
So what I'm gonna do right now is load my first song up on the left deck right here. We're gonna pretend that this is the song that's about to end, and then I'm gonna bring in my next track on the right. So first thing that I'm gonna do is take the first cue point and I'm gonna line it up at exactly 12 o'clock. It doesn't matter where you put it, this is just most comfortable for me. And I'm gonna make sure that that cue point is right on 12 o'clock. So every time I know that this line goes past 12 o'clock, the beat will hit. So I'm gonna load up my song on the left side that we are gonna pretend is about to end, and I'm gonna bring in the next song on the right side. So I'm gonna make sure that that first cue point is exactly at 12 o'clock. You notice my record here has a little line at the top. I wanna make sure that I hit the cue point at exactly 12 o'clock, so I know every single time I bring the record back, it's gonna hit that first beat. Once I have that ready to go, we're gonna start playing the left, and then I'm gonna start using a mixture of baby scratches and stab scratches to bring in the song a little bit more exciting than it is if I were just to press the button to start it. We're gonna start off slow. And then to do that a little bit faster,
So I think a good thing to kind of like mention to everyone is when you're practicing this, you're gonna have to start off super slow, and then as you get more comfortable and it has a cleaner sound, you start to kind of pick up the pace, pick up the tempo, and really start getting creative with the combinations of how you're applying these techniques to your overall set. Another thing I'd like to say to everyone is if you just understand these two basic scratches, and you're able to put them in play at your events, you could set yourself apart from people that do the same thing as you, offer the same service as you, or even are your competitors. It could spice up your shows, spice up your sets. It's not about learning every scratch under the sun. It's about learning one or two that you feel super comfortable with and mastering them or getting as proficient as you possibly can using these scratches. Again, I think I mentioned this in the first video. There's only like 3 or 4 scratches that I even know how to do or feel comfortable enough to do when I'm doing events. I understand the techniques of a lot of different scratches, but there's only like 2, 3, maybe 4 tops that I will ever do in any event or any show or any mix that I'm creating. Just want to like let that be known, because I think it's super easy to start doing this and to get frustrated. But I think it comes in time as long as you stay consistent and you practice. You need to put your time in to work on these different scratches to take your shows to a whole nother level. So that's it. My name is Jason Jani. This is Jason Cohen, aka DJ Demand. We appreciate you guys checking out this stab video and of course the combo with the baby scratch. Be on the lookout for more scratch videos coming out right here on this channel in the weeks and months ahead. And if you want to see us cover anything about scratches, please be sure to let us know what you want to learn, what you want us to focus in on, and how we can help you. And do so by throwing it into the comments down below. Appreciate you guys checking out this video. If you haven't yet supported the channel, be sure to do so with some sub love. And make sure you hit that bell so you're notified when we drop a new video. Again, my name is Jason. This is Jason. And thank you so much for watching us. Peace.